Welcome. Thank you all so much for coming. This is the Apple Watch Meetup group, and today we are doing App Store optimization and analytics. So just before we get started, I'd like to quickly go over where we're at and why we're here. So, yes, if you can switch on. Okay. So WatchKit was released right before Thanksgiving, and that same week we had a workshop for it, and you can see all of the ideas and the videos of the presentations at hackathon.watch. Actually, if you put /live, you'll get to all the photos and videos and things. So that's just /live. You know what? Let me fix that really quick. Everybody can see it. Cool. So hackathon.watch /live. And I just wanted to quickly announce a couple of the upcoming events that we have. So Hello WatchKit is a co-hosted event with the Advanced iOS group. It's run by Vanula right there in the back. Raise your hand. Yeah. So that's going to be at Sandbox Suites on Tuesday, December 16th. So I would love to see all of you there. What we're going to do is build a very simple app and talk about kind of the limitations and features of the platform. And then we're going to have a full day boot camp on January 24th up in the city, and January 24th down here at Hacker Dojo. And they're going to be both the same content, so you can pick which one you want to go to. And in that one, we'll go into a lot more detail. So we'll take the knowledge you learned at the Hello WatchKit. There will be a video available after that in case you can't come to that December 16th day. But we'll take all that you learned there, and then we'll really put it into practice. So we'll work with API and use that data that comes in, and we'll work with glances and notifications, and we'll also work with animations. So if you want to learn how to build an app, that is a perfect day for you to come. What I mean by that is Silicon Valley. So it'll actually be at Hacker Dojo. Yeah.
Where will be in the city?
In the city, I'm still trying to find a venue, but I think Sandbox Suites South Park. Do you have a recommendation of a place by chance?
I can check.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you shoot me an email or a message, then that'd be cool. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Seb Harang, and he's going to talk about App Store optimization.
Will this be posted, this presentation?
Yes, this presentation will be posted. Huh.
I have it.
Oh, is that okay? Let me just okay, I guess that's good. Wait, no, it's not. Sorry. Does anybody know how to turn off the prisoner mode in PowerPoint?
If you, oh yeah, you wanted to.
Because they're they're
Go to slideshow.
up here.
Up there at the top. Tools.
Okay.
Slideshow. So maybe in the
Setup
menu
show.
on top.
Keep going to the right. Setup show. Yeah.
Yes, I guess.
That will keep it to this window.
That's not what I meant. Escape. Yes.
So today we're going to talk about app marketing and how to market applications for iOS application, and we'll mention also things about watch apps, even though it's kind of brand new. It's kind of hard to predict right now. The two topics we'll cover is apps optimization, also known as ASO, and app analytics. So before we get started, like, who was part of the hackathon, WatchUp hackathon? Yeah, cool. That was fun, huh? So thanks for coming here, and thanks to Ben for yeah. No. Let's try again. It worked before. Maybe the option of full screen, which is weird. It should work.
This. Yeah, but it shows the kind of speaker presentation mode on this screen, and that's the one where we're recording.
So just to see, it's going to be back to.
I can do something.
Get the chat. Okay. Oh, you're recording the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So a little bit about me before we get started. So like the cone heads, I come from France. I'm a founder of a app company. I'm publishing my own applications, a company called Bonsai Soft. So published 5 applications so far. But what I've also decided to do, I started a year ago, and I'm also blogging about app marketing, and I'll tell you a bit more why I do that. And so there's every week I'm trying to post something about app marketing. So it's appmarketinglab.com. Before that, been in the US for 15 years. Worked for Netflix for 10 years. I was one of the early engineer there. Worked on the DVD side of things, and also worked for Invisalign, where I was doing in charge of some of the websites and also internal applications for the company. And you can find me on Twitter at Seb Herring. So before I start about app marketing, I wanted to tell you a story. Back in 2010, I was in between jobs. Instead of searching for a new job, I was living in LA at that time. I decided to start learning how to do native apps using Objective-C. So I learned Objective-C, grabbed some books. It took me like a month or two. And then I decided to create a real project. So I came up with the idea of like, this is a bike sharing system in DC. And there are a lot of systems like that where you can swipe your credit card, you get your bike, but you have to know where they are. You have to know how many bicycles are there. So I decided to build an app that will do that. And so I built it. And it was a good project to get started. So I built it. It's called I Find Bikes. It's still in the App Store today. I haven't touched it for a while. But then, so I worked on the Objective-C. I worked on the client. I worked on the back end. I did a REST server. I put that on the cloud. I mean, it was it took me 3 months to do the whole thing. It was very good to learn things up. But then I was sure that because there are like millions of people using those bike systems in the world, like I was going to be like people were going to be jumping on my app and download it, and I'll be making good money with it. And I think I got like few thousand downloads, and I made $50. And so I had to. That was a time where I kind of stopped working. My work was not working, so that's kind of the thing where I mean, it doesn't feel very good. Like you think you have a product, you put it out there, and then people don't find it. Like how come is that? So that's why when you're building application, you're creating your own apps. You have your apps out there, but you have also the iPhone and iPad users, and how do people find your applications? That's the question, and that's really what app marketing is about. So if you have a technical background, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, marketing is not my thing. I mean, I'm going to build the best application ever. It's going to be awesome, and people are going to find it because it's just awesome." But that doesn't work like that. I mean, the thing is, there's more than 1 million apps on the iOS store. There's more than 1 million on Google Play. So whatever you do, I mean, it's crowded out there. So to be found is not easy. So since like from 2010 till now, one of the things I told myself, like, I want to continue doing applications. I don't regret doing it because right after I found a job in the Bay Area within Design, and because I knew how to do apps, I mean, I was like managing the internal application. So my career kind of changed completely towards the apps. So it was not a waste of time. But then since then, I've been interested in the marketing. I mean, like a website, you have SEO for the website. Like, what do you do for applications? So the two topics we'll cover. The first one is App Store optimization and what it is and why you should know about it. And then the second one is app analytics. So my goal here is that, I mean, you cannot be an expert like in 1 hour, but like the goal here is that to give you a good overview. So by the time we're done, you're going to have much better understanding that most of the app developers that are publishing apps. A lot of people know a lot about it, but I mean, most people don't know as much as they should. So first is, how do people find applications? This is a recent survey where they ask people, it's like, how did you find your last application? And you can see that 47% of people, they say, are searching the App Store. I mean, that's not the only way to find application. You can look at the top ranking. I mean, the top applications that are ranked by Apple. You can find them on the web. People talk about it and all that. But like 47%. Compared to the other ways of finding apps is half of it. And they did the same survey with Google Play and Android market, and that's the same thing. Like 53% of people find it using the search. So I see a lot of people when they're publishing apps, they just jump in and just say, oh, I'm going to talk about my app on Twitter. Yeah, you can do that, but you're gonna address like a smaller portion of people searching for apps. I mean, what you want to do is that when people search for apps, let's find where they are in the App Store. So how does search works? Sorry for that. I mean, the projection is not as good, but here on the top, I entered recipes. Let's say I want to search for an app that's recipes, and now with iOS 8, the way of displaying apps is vertical. So you're scrolling from bottom to the top. And you're just like going down the list, and you look at the apps and you see what you want to do. But if we break down the search into steps, what we all do when we're searching for applications is that first we enter keywords, like either one word or multiple words. Then we're browsing the results, and then if we think that there's an app that's going to interest us, we're going to maybe like click into it, maybe not download it right away, like click into it and get some more details. I mean, how many reviews, like the screenshots and things like that. And then finally, if we like it, we're going to download the app, whether it's free or not. That's how we do it. So let's first address the first part of this search, which is entering the keyword and browsing the results. I mean, people enter keyword. Like, how do you know if your app is going to be there? Because even if you're in the results, like, if you're at the bottom of the list, and usually Apple doesn't show more than 2,500 apps in the search, I mean, nobody's going at the bottom of the search to be found. So what you want to be is that you want to be like within the top 10 or 15 apps that are listed when people search for it. So to understand how to do that, you have to first understand how the Apple is indexing the app. It's a search engine, so how do they do that? So then indexing 4 different fields. The first one is the app title or app name, and it has 255 characters. Second one is a keyword list. So when you're submitting your apps, if you have submitted apps with on iTunes Connect, they're asking, there's a 100-character field where they're asking you to enter all the keywords that you have, that you can. And the last two are in-app purchase name and company name. So those ones, if you have an in-app purchase, you can use the keywords, but it's not as important. So the reason why the top one is in bold is I put it in bold and bigger size because it's Apple gives more importance to the keywords that are in your app title than the ones that are in the keyword list. So that's something to keep in mind. There's also more space. So let's look at an example. This is a fitness app. It's one of the top of the App Store. You can you download it and you have a fitness exercises you can do when you go to the gym. And the name of this application is called Fitness Buddy. Okay, so if someone is searching for that particular brand, that particular app and type Fitness Buddy, then the app is going to be listed. And there may be other applications, but it's going to be listed. But how many people know that this app is named Fitness Buddy? They may type, if they type fitness, it's going to be listed too, but that's not a lot of keywords. So that's the name of the application. But actually, if you go to the App Store, the real name is this: Fitness Buddy and exercises, workout trainer, and workout journal. Why do they do that? They do that for two reasons. The reason number one is that they have the app name, so the app name is at the beginning, then there's a dash, and then there's a tagline that's kind of explaining to the user what is the app about. And so if I'm reading this, when I see the icon and I see this longer name versus the shorter name, I have a better understanding of what this app is about. The second thing is they also know that Apple is indexing the app title, and this one is full of keywords, and so they know what they do is they have done App Store optimization, and they have optimized the keywords. Yeah. Sure.
That's a great point. I'm curious as to why they're in that case repeating the word workout.
Yeah, they don't have to. Once you have it, that's a good point. Once you have a word in the keyword, you don't have to repeat it multiple times. It doesn't help. Yeah. But let's look now. Yeah, there's another question.
How about sequence? Workout trainer is the same as trainer workout.
Yeah, so you don't have. So let me. In this slide, I'm going to cover all those different topics. That's an important slide because most people don't understand how. If you understand how the Apple search works, that's how you can optimize. Your app on the App Store. So let's look at the keyword field. These are some of the keywords that are the real keywords for that application, and I'll show you how I found those keywords in the coming slides. So you see personal goal, health, gym, training, and all that. So these are the keywords they have. So one thing to notice is that the way it works is you have keywords in the app title and keywords in the app name. And the keywords, when you enter them, you don't want to create phrases, and you don't want to have any space. So a keyword list is a list of words separated by a comma. So you have a word, comma, word, comma, word, comma. When you have a keyword in the app title, you don't have to have it in the app name, because if it's in the app name, you're already going to be ranking for, and actually you're going to be ranking for this particular keyword higher than if you have it in the list of keywords. So if I type fitness buddy, the app is going to show up. If I type exercise workout, the app is going to show up. If I type, so even if I type keywords that are in both fields, for example, gym exercise. If I type gym exercise, the app is going to show up also, because the keywords are either in one or the other spot. And so that's how. So what you want to do is that you want to find those keywords and then make sure that you don't create a lot of. I see a lot of developers, because one thing I do is optimize applications for I have consulting service where I optimize applications for other developers or companies. And I see a lot of people doing is that they try to create the phrases. Like a phrase is 2 keywords, for example, gym exercise. So they put gym space exercise in the keyword list. But you have a space it's not going to be useful. So you don't want to do that. Yeah.
So when having exercise in the keywords doesn't help at all. That wouldn't cause Apple to think that your app is really about exercise.
No.
And then also, you don't have the app description in the list of things that Apple takes into account. So is that part of those?
No. So Apple, the description is used for people who are going to be downloading the app. Especially if you have a paid, like most people, I don't know about you, but like if I download the app, I'm not going to read like a whole text about what the app is about, unless it's a paid app and they are charging me like a few bucks for it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be paying more attention to the words. But Apple doesn't index the app description. Google does though, because Google, I mean, when I hear to talk about Google Play, one difference with Google is that Google, the name is much shorter, it's like 30 characters, because I have a few apps on Google Play also. And there's no keyword field, so Google doesn't ask you for a keyword field, but they're asking for description. So what they are doing is that they are indexing the description, and that's how you're going to show up there. But Apple is working differently. But it's still good to have a good description. But the fact that you stuff keywords inside is not going to make a difference. So let's take a hypothetical example, and let's say that I'm working on a Mexican recipe application. My icon is ready. I have my screenshots, and I'm ready to publish the application. So now I need to find like I need to find keywords that are going to be ranking for my app. So when I do apps optimization for my apps or for other people, my goal is to have a list of as big as possible of many keywords. I'm not trying to be selective at the beginning, because I want to be thinking about as many words as I can, and then after that I'm going to do a research to find out which are the ones that are going to be relevant. So how do I do that? First, I don't even touch a computer. I take a piece of paper and I'm trying to list all the things that come to mind. Burrito and Mexican food and tacos, and I'm listing all the words that I can come to mind first. And then the next thing I do is I use the Apple search suggestion on the device on which my app is going to be. So if I'm doing an iPhone application, I use an iPhone, or the iPad for the iPad. Because I don't want to use iTunes, because the search on iTunes is the search for everything, not only apps. So when you type things on iTunes, the suggestions are for movies and music and everything. Where if you search on the device, it's just for apps. So you want to use the device. So for example, I'm going to be typing recipes, and Apple is listing other words and other phrases. Like I have recipes app free, recipes by ingredients. So it's a mix of keywords or phrases that people often use, or related to the first one I entered, or also app names that are popular for recipes. So by doing that, I can see cooking recipes. So I forgot about adding cooking in my brainstorming list, so I can add that. So there's a lot of things that can be adding just by doing the search. And this one is very important, because if Apple puts it on the top, the words that are on the top are probably the ones that are searched the most. So all of a sudden, because you're using the suggested keywords, then you're using what people are searching the most. So that's important to use. I can enter Mexican. I get Mexican food. Mexican game doesn't apply. And Chipotle Mexican grill, that applies. I can create. Even when I enter 2 keywords, I have more. So I can keep on doing that and increasing the size of my keyword list. But I'm not only using Apple Search, I'm also using other search suggestions like Google Search, Amazon, YouTube. Those are big search engine, and they're not going to be as relevant as the Apple's search, but I can find new keywords like that. Another one thing I do is I use Sensor Tower, and we'll talk a bit more about it. And Sensor Tower, if I go inside, I type the name of another application, they're going to give me the keywords for that application. That's how I found the keywords for Fitness Buddy. You just type it, and then boom, they're all listed. So then I can look at the competition I have, because I may not be the only Mexican food application. And I can look at the competition and see what are the words that they are using. I see the words in their app name, but there are other words in the keyword list. And so using Sensor Tower, I can find those ones.
What's that app again?
Sensor Tower. And we're going to talk more about it. Yes?
How does Sensor Tower get that?
I don't know how they do it exactly, but I think that what they're doing is that they're sending search and they're looking at like they'll probably have scripts where they're searching, and then they're looking at results from the search and seeing like what are the apps that are showing up. Either that, or they have some metadata from Apple. I think I'm not exactly sure, but they have the information. So when I put my own application, I see all my keywords.
So they got it right.
Yeah. Other tools you can use are Google Keyword Planner for people who are doing AdWords campaign. Like Google is having a free tool that you can use where they say, hey, if you want to have ads on Google, you can use that. So you need a Gmail account to do that, but you don't have to have an ad on Google to do it. But they can give you a lot of recommendations of like how many people, like Google tell you like how many people search for like this keyword or like a phrase per month, and then gives you and you can extrapolate that if there's a lot of search on the web, maybe there's going to be more on the apps, a lot on the App Store too. Google Trends also synonyms. So let's say that for it's a very small list, but just as an example, I came up with the keywords recipes, Mexican food recipes, burrito, and tacos. And so, of course, when I do that, my list is much bigger than that. So now the question is like how to evaluate keyword. What's a good keyword? An ideal keyword is or phrase is something that is searched a lot, but doesn't return a lot of apps. So for example, if I type free games, I'm gonna have like thousands and thousands of apps. So I mean, if I try to target free games, if I have a game, good luck with that, because I'm gonna be at the bottom of the list, and people will never find me. Like, but if I type, I don't know, something more specific, then if my app ranks for it, and if a lot of people search for it, but it returns less number of apps, then I should try to target that. So the tool I was mentioning was Sensor Tower. So what I do is that I take all the keywords that I found, and I'm going to be putting them in Sensor Tower. So it's a little bit hard to see. So here I entered recipe, and then recipes, and then Sensor Tower tells me there's a traffic of 6. So it's a coefficient out of 10. So 6 out of 10 is very good. I mean, it means there's like quite a bit of traffic. But the difficulty is 4, so it's out of 10 also, so it's quite hard. So what the difficulty is, the difficulty for on the iPhone side to be able to rank to rank at the top. So it's going to be hard, and then iPad difficulty is even higher, 6.2. So recipes return 6,055 apps. So that's challenging. It's also one keyword. So this one, but it doesn't mean I should give up on recipes. That just means that recipe alone is not going to bring me anything. So now what I do is that I have, apologize for a small font, but here I got phrases, Mexican food recipes, 4.4 for traffic, not bad. And there's a difficulty of 1.4. It's returning 64 apps. So this is, I still have recipes in the keyword list. So Mexican food recipes, that's something I should be targeting. Same thing with the Mexican recipes, where it's not as much traffic, 2.9, but like there's a difficulty of 0.7. So that's very achievable. So that's how people tell. Yeah. Yes.
I was curious that the difficulty doesn't is not proportional to the number of apps.
Yeah, because there's a mix. There's the number of apps, but also the number of apps that have those keywords in the app name. So so if you have a lot of, like, let's say you have 100 apps, and a lot of those applications, they have those keywords in the app name already. So it's going to be harder for you to rank than if they have it in the keyword list. So if they have it because Apple is going to give less importance to the keyword list than the app name itself. So that's why sometimes it doesn't match the number of applications. And something here, burrito recipes, still decent traffic, and burrito. So this one is harder to rank, but that's how you do. Like you use Sensor Tower, and then you enter those keywords, and you see you're comparing. You're searching for the nuggets. It takes a while because you have a lot of combination of words that you found, like the phrases that you create. But at the end, if it works, then you can find some nuggets where you have like I mean, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 keywords that you can add. And these are the things that people didn't think about. And you're going to add that to your app, and you're going to be ranking higher.
So this search term has to be in a specific sequence. For example, this Mexican food recipe. So should it be like one after the other, then only it shows, or?
It doesn't matter, because what happens is, again, like when Apple indexing your app name in your keywords, it's in any order. I mean, when you put it in your app name, don't try to recreate Mexican food recipes somewhere, either in the keyword list or in the app name. You just put the keywords, I mean, out there, and then.
For example, if I just put food Mexican recipes, will it show the same result?
I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't know.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, because for different keyword, it's a different result.
But here you're talking about the same keywords in a different order?
Yeah, so means but search engine pretend like it's a different sequence method.
Maybe, yeah, you're probably right.
She's the SEO expert on that.
Oh, here we go, see? Yeah.
So what's the conclusion? The sequence matter?
I mean, the sequence, I mean, for you doesn't, I mean, you can maybe flip things up and then see if you have the same result. I've never tried to enter in different orders, but
Yeah,
So
if you enter the different order, it gives you different results,
Uh-huh.
and again different competition. So based on that, if their count means Mexican recipe food or food recipe Mexican, it's the different combinations and different combinations.
In Google though.
Yeah, in
oh, in Google, yeah.
Google.
In this sensor tower, I'm not sure if it's the same or not. But the thing is, at the end, when you look at the results, the order doesn't matter once you publish your app, because the keywords are just scattered between your app name and keyword list.
I know in Google it matters, the sequence. I'm not sure that I heard.
So I need to, and we'll need to look it up offline. Yeah.
We'll test it and post it as notes.
Exactly. Here we go. That's a good question. So Sensor Tower, just for information, there's a free account, but then the free account is kind of limited. So if you're an app publisher or a student, individual app publisher or student, you can get the pro version for free if you post a blog post about them. So if you kind of do a review about them, they're gonna. And for the longest time, I didn't use them, but then I published something on my blog post. Actually, if you go to appmarketinglab.com, you'll see my post, and you can publish something similar, and you can use the pro version for free.
Also, there's a one to search now.
Yeah,
It's
so
really good.
yeah.
I've actually compared it to my favorite of modern search.
yeah. Actually, yeah, it's a good point, Simon. So yeah, I mentioned Sensor Tower because that's the one that a lot of people are using. But this is not the only one now, and you have other ones like Searchman is another one. App Codes, yeah, Straply. I mean, there are other ones. I've used like different ones, but at the end I've been using Sensor Tower. Most people use this one mainly, but it's not the only one. Mobile Dev HQ also is another one.
Maybe the app codes is one.
Yeah, appcodes.com.
And mobile device HQ.
Mobile Dev HQ.
I think app codes is cod.es.
It used to be, but they got the .com. Yeah, it's appcodes.com. Yeah, both work. So let's. How about ASO for Apple Watches?
He said it's changed now.
So Apple, yeah, you have
When you
another.
post a note, can you put the
Yes, I will.
Sure.
put those in the notes.
Yeah. I should have listed them in the list. Sorry. So this meetup is about Apple Watch. So what happens with Apple Watch and App Store optimization? Well, I mean, so we don't know as much right now, but the thing that we know with the Apple Watch, it's bundled to the iOS application. So when you're releasing an app, It's not like you're going to reason an Apple Watch application by itself. It has to be, it's going to be an extension of an existing, of not an existing, like it could be a new one, iOS application. So you're going to be doing the optimization for the iOS application, but the Apple Watch will be there. So what's going to happen? What I think is going to happen is you're going to have categories where people that have a watch are going to be wanting to find applications for their watches. So I bet like on the App Store, they're going to have applications, they're going to have categories where they're going to show you a list of applications that are going to be for the watch also. And so, and because it's going to be brand new and there are not going to be as many, it's going to be easier to rank for those categories for sure. And the other thing is, some people will also probably search for the terms like, I want like a to-do list for Apple Watch, for example, or I want a to-do list for watch. So I think it'll probably be a good idea when you do your App Store optimization, when you find the keywords that you add for and watch or for Apple Watch, if you can, so you can be found on the App Store. So one thing I forgot to mention is that let's say there's a phrase that's quite long and has multiple words. So for example, puzzle games for kids. If I'm missing any of the words in my keyword, if any of the word is missing, I won't rank at all. So if I have puzzle and game and kids, I have those 3 ones, but I don't have 4, F-O-R. My app won't rank. So these are the things to remember, like the small words like free. Like people say, oh, I'm not going to rank. I'm not going to put free. Nobody's going to rank for free. It's so it's so competitive. But actually, I always add free and for and TO too, because these are the small words that sometimes make a bigger phrase. And if you miss one, then your app is not listed. So here, if you have like app for to-do list for Apple Watch, then you need for an Apple and Watch. The other thing too is I bet also that Apple is going to have on the App Store an easy way, like a visual clue to indicate that this particular app has a watch attached to it, and a watch app attached to it. Here it's an example on how universal applications can be distinguished from other ones. So universal applications are the ones that work both on the iPhone and the iPad. So if you search for those, then if you see this little plus sign, you see that. So there'll probably be like ways for Apple to do that. So
wait, quickly,
sure.
That, another way to think about it is that in iOS 8, Apple announced extensions, and so apps are making keyboards that you can use, and also extensions that are in Safari Share Sheet, things like that. And so any apps that are keyboard specific or Safari Share Sheet, look at what they're doing, because they have kind of a component that's hidden inside of their app, and do the same for Apple Watch apps.
Now let's look at let's go back to our application, the Mexican food recipe. So now, and if I enter Mexican food recipe, my app is listed. So you see 97 results. It's much smaller than the 6,000 for recipes. And we kind of solved the first 2 steps of the search, which is someone enter like Mexican recipes, and they browse the result, and we're part of it. That's the first thing. So the thing that the last 2 that we have to solve is the fact that people are going to be reviewing the app and downloading the app. That's not a given. To illustrate that, I want to show you like cereal boxes. And yes, I took that picture in a Lucky store next to my house. People were wondering why I take pictures of this. And it was to illustrate a blog post that I wrote about. So if you think about the way you're searching for applications in the App Store, is very similar to like if you don't have a brand that you prefer for cereals and you go in this aisle. I mean, the cereal boxes are very competitive. I mean, there's a lot of them. They're very colorful. They try to make it very attractive for you. They're trying to sell the features on the box itself, like fun for the kids and healthy for the adults. So there's a big real estate for the box, and they're trying to convince you that this box is, this cereal is very good for you. And if you grab the cereal boxes, you're gonna look on the back, on the side, you're gonna have more information. And so it's really made for to convince you to buy those boxes. But now let's say that someone comes and they want to compete in that market, and they're going to make the best cereal, best cereal ever. But they don't care about branding. They just rely on the fact that their cereal is going to be good. Would that work? It's going to be hard to. You have all these other brands that are like, the Shine and all that, and you show up and you have a box that's white box. So it's kind of exaggerated, but it's just to illustrate the fact that in your app store, it's the same thing. Like people, when they're browsing the app store or when they're in the supermarket, it's the same thing. They have like a few seconds to look at the icons and screenshots and everything. And you have to convince them. And a lot of people that are publishing apps don't even pay attention to that. They think that the keywords are, even the keywords are enough, and that's going to be convincing everybody. So let me give you an example. This is an app. Who can tell like what the app is doing from the icon? You got a balloon, a T, and an E.
And event planning?
Event planning, yeah, pretty good. Yeah. It's the little game of the night. So it's a T and a E. It could be a game with balloons. Like we don't know why the T and the E is inside. So okay. So let's look at it. So now we have. I'm going to show you the screenshot. So we have two screenshots. The first one is the app preview video, and the person used the same image for the video and the first screenshot. And the first screenshot, it says, "Great to meet you today. I love your new app. Thank you very much." Like, okay, it's a texting app, but I already have a texting app, and it comes with the iPhone. Like, why do I need another one? So, like, I still don't get it. And they're charging $5 for that. So now, look at the next screenshot. It's like, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like, I'm confused now. Like, so they had text and all. So what this app is text expander. So you type like a few letters, and when you're texting, it's going to expand. So you can do, bigger phrases and all that. So of course you can kind of guess it from the app name. But the point is, like it's pretty good app and it's pretty useful. But that person didn't do anything to kind of present it on the outside. The icon doesn't tell you anything. The screenshot doesn't help a lot. And by the way, text expander, I would have not written that like this, because if you combine words, then that means that person is not going to rank for text space expander. And so that means you have to repeat the keyword separated in the keyword list. So it's just an example where, someone, could have, that person, that developer could have done a better job, like just explaining what the app is from the outside. So that's what I called kind of a white box package. And if you look at the App Store, you'll see tons of it. This one is another one where, you look at the icons called Yum. It's like Yum, Yummy. It's probably about food. Bingo. It's like, okay. And this company is called Yumly. And then what they do is that they're showing the screenshot, but they're also showing the features on top of the screenshot. So that's why I often do on my screenshots, because Apple calls that screenshot, and you can take the screenshot of your app and then submit it to Apple. But if you do that, you're kind of missing the point of, maybe your app is self-explanatory and then it's going to work. But by doing this, by showing an iPhone and then a short description on top, you can kind of like convince people from the outside what your app is about. And by the way, when people list, like if your screenshots are vertical, the first two screenshots are going to show up. So you want to pay attention. Like a lot of apps, they put the splash screen as a first screenshot, but the splash screen doesn't give anything. So what you want is to convince people, like people are going to be downloading the app, the same way like people buy cereals. Like the app is for you. This is what it's going to be doing. So you want to have the most convincing one at the beginning, and if you can do the feature. And here, Yumly, recipes, groceries, and shopping. So they added keywords, but also it helped me understand what the app is about. Last example, this one is Heads Up. A lot of people know about that game. So that's the way it looks. So the screen, and that's not the screenshot they use on the App Store. I just want to show you how it looks inside. But they were smart enough not to show their screenshot because that doesn't tell a story. It doesn't tell me how it's played. That's the real screenshot they have. So what they did is that they used pictures of people playing that game, and you can still see the screenshot in small, like, I mean, but like just with the first two screenshots, exactly understand how the game is played, and looks like this person is having fun. And there's like, I mean, 449 like reviews with very highly rated. So it looks like a very interesting game. I want to download it. So that's the kind of thing that you can be creative with the screenshots, or the icon and all that, because that's how you're convincing people. So some of the designing resources that you can have, if you're like me and you cannot draw, even if your life was depending on it, you can hire people who can do that. You can use Odesk or Elance. There's a lot of like graphic designer that you can hire. 99 Design is also a service where you can submit a project, and then they're going to have different graphic designer competing for and showing you their work, and then you pick whoever you want, whoever you think is the best, and then after that you pay for, and then you can still adjust a few things up. In terms of tools, you can use Photoshop. It's not easy to use, and it's not cheap, but it's probably the most powerful out of the three. And now they have a cloud solution, so now I think it's like $50 a month to use the cloud solution. It gives you all the Adobe tools also. Sketch 3, which I discovered with this meetup, like if you, it was like a few months ago, we have a graphic designer that came and gave a demo on how to use Sketch 3. It's a great tool. Another one I use is Acorn. It's like 50 or $100. It's more like Photoshop, but it's simpler and cheaper. And that's for what I do. My wife is a graphic designer, so she's using Photoshop. I use Acorn. Two other tools that are great, like you often see like screenshots, like the shape of the iPhone and all that. I mean, it looks kind of hard to do, but there's a free tool that I discovered a while ago. It's called Mock Your Phone. Go to mockyourphone.com, and they have, you choose the device. So you can say, I want to have like an iPhone 6, black iPhone 6 device, and then you take your screenshot on the web, you put it in the website, and then they ship you a file with like all the inclination of the phone, like oriented, landscape, and tilted, and all that. And that's it. It's done for you. And they have like a kind of an empty background, so it's up to you after that to add the background that you want. And it's a free tool too, so it's pretty cool. And they have all the iOS devices. They don't have the Apple Watch yet, but I'm sure they'll do at some point. Another one is Placeit. So they do the same thing in Mock Your Phone, but what they are doing is that they are placing your screenshot into a photo. So it could be like someone holding the device with the C behind, or it could be, so it's more like a bit more fancy. And they have a lot of choice, placeit.com, or maybe .net, I think. So this is the same screenshot that I used, and here it's just like the phone on the desk. And I think they have some free version, but some of the images you have to pay for it. But they look, I mean, they are ready they are ready to be used right away. And what I do usually, I use those tools, and then after that, I use Acorn and adding the text that I want to be adding. And hopefully, those two tools will be able to let you do things like this. Because if you think about it, if people are going to be searching for applications for the watch, and you have one, then you want to show them, especially on the first two screenshots, that there's a watch component to that, because you're going to have more downloads if you do that than if it's hidden in. Then if you don't show it, or if it's hidden in screenshot number 5. So one last point on the apps optimization is the analytics. So I was hoping it was going to be, I mean, a lot of people that know about apps optimization are waiting for that. So back in June, with iOS 8, Apple announced the analytics module. And usually Apple is kind of like, I mean, not revealing a lot of information about I mean, how things works and how it is. So for example, if I have like 200 downloads today, one thing I don't know is that if I change the keywords and I have more, I don't know why I have more. So one of the things that they were not giving, and they're going to start giving now, is the number of, can read here, but that's the number of views. So for the first time, you're going to be able to see that your app on the App Store was viewed 500 times, and out of 500, you got 200 downloads yesterday. And so for the first time, we're going to be really able to as we optimize the apps, like change the keywords and all that, see whether the views are increasing or not. And what you want to do is to have as many views as possible. And what you want to do is, the second thing you want to do is to convert as many of those views to downloads. So only Apple could give us this information, because Sensor Tower doesn't know this information. And I'm very glad that Apple decided that they're going to share that with us. And most of us thought it was going to be released by November, but it's still not to that day. But that's going to be a very crucial information that we didn't have until now. So any question on App Store, ESO?
There's something that when you touched on App Store reviews,
yes,
I think there's a little bit more to that as well. I think the number of reviews, there's something else, the length of those reviews. When the app with the little bird, it went viral, it had sat in the App Store for 1 year before that, doing nothing. Then there was a ton of reviews left for it, really long reviews, 500 character reviews and stuff like that. Suddenly it jumped up.
Yeah.
So there's something in that as well. If you can get your customers to leave you a nice long review, then do it.
Yeah, the reviews are very, for sure. I mean, the more reviews you have, the higher you're going to rank. And by the way, you need at least 5 reviews to have ratings. Because you need to see sometimes apps that have no rating. Doesn't mean they have no reviews. It's just that they don't. You need 5. Once you have
in the same country as well.
In the same country. Yeah. 5 in the same country. There are also like rumors that Apple is looking also at how long people are using the apps before when they leave the review. So if I download one app, I leave a review and then delete it, then I'm going to be more suspicious than if I keep on using the application. And Apple has a way to see that. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but that's people are saying that like the fake reviews are tagged anywhere.
I've actually read that where people are getting those reviews removed by Apple. I saw a review exchange thread somewhere one time, and they was leaving each other 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it was saying, all right, the reviews are being erased.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, one tip on review that I'm implementing in one of my apps right now is there's an app, there's a company called Apptentive, and they have a plugin where you can add it to your app and you can ask for, this way it's going to ask for reviews. But what they realize is that if you, like all of us were using apps and they say, can you leave us a review? It's like, no, I don't want to waste my time doing that. So they see that a lot of people say no when they ask for, when people ask for reviews. But they have a different way of asking it. They say, do you love that app? And you have yes and no. And people say, either you love it or you don't love it. So if you say, yes, I love it, you say, okay, now that you say yes, do you mind giving us a review? Because that will help us a lot. And people, when I think when people say yes, then they feel bad not giving a review. So the number of reviews that you get if you ask if you love your app first is much higher than if you say, please review my app. And if you say no, and if they say no, I don't love your app, then you can prompt them and say, give us feedback, send us an email. So we can improve and all that. So that's a flow that they're using, and I'm implementing it in one of my apps right now. Yes.
Do you know about the logic that Apple uses for ranking the apps in the search? My guess so far is that they're ranked based on the number of downloads they get, plus the favorable reviews.
Oh yeah, for sure. The downloads, the reviews, they have a lot of importance.
They actually quite often change that as well. every now and then when they release an update, they change how that works.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they just don't want us to know what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Google search and all that, where a lot of websites of companies, they rely on the Google search to make money, and sometimes you have a panda updates, and all of a sudden your ranking goes down and all that. So when you're on the App Store, you're at the mercy of Apple. I mean, they have not been like changing the search as much. Yeah, like changes, but like, I mean, it's not drastic, but you never know. So.
Well, you said that watch apps will exist in association with an iOS app, and I wonder, is that a conceptual thing or a technical thing? That is it conceptual in the sense that it's a watch app is just seen as something that adds functionality to an existing iOS app, or is it technical in the sense that a watch app can't exist by itself? Like
it's
there's
both.
No such a thing.
Yeah.
As that.
You want to?
Yeah, so I'll expand on that. It is both. In the first version of Watch, the code for your watch app lives on the phone.
Okay.
So only the views live on the watch.
Okay.
So
like
if you,
Bluetooth.
yeah, and it can be through Bluetooth, right?
Right.
So you have to have the phone app. Now, your phone app doesn't necessarily have to do anything. Show anything to the user. I mean, you probably want to provide like a nice overview for what they're going to get on the watch, but you don't have to do anything in the phone app.
Oh, so theoretically, you have something it lives on the phone, but everything it's all about the watch, and just things that happen to the watch. It's only just residing on the phone.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And in the future, maybe by June of next year, Apple might make it where you could just have a watch app where it doesn't have to be on the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
So earlier comments, does the length of the review matter? Like, is the
I didn't hear that before, but it looks like it's highly possible. Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, I don't usually when I'm asking my friends to leave a review, they always say yes, but they don't do it. So if I say, can you leave me a review of 5 sentences, like, wow, it's going to be even harder. So I think it's what happened is that you have like Facebook groups where people say, hey, I leave a review for your app, you leave a review for my apps. And some people do that. I'm also part of a mastermind of app developers where, I mean, we are like 50 around the world. It's from Steve Young from a mobile app chat. And we help each other by leaving reviews. And that works much better than with your friends because, I mean, people are busy.
how do you join that group?
How do you join the group? Go to mobileappchat.com. I'll show you this. I have something on it. Actually, Steve was going to come to
I'll add that in the notes too.
Yeah.
Mobile app chat.
Paid apps ranked higher in general.
I don't think. No, I don't. They have the App Store has a top paid, top free, top grossing.
That's a search.
No, I don't think that they systematically rank higher. It just depends on downloads. So I think that they'll probably have a tendency to rank lower because people are going to be more. And it's all about freemium. So getting people to pay for your app right away is hard. But I don't think they rank higher.
But that's the reason I thought that they might have some
way to bump them up.
mechanism. Otherwise, if you really take it.
Maybe they do. Maybe it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Apple will have no revenue.
So one thing that they do when you publish an app on the Apple Store, they have what I call the 7 days honeymoon, where they bump you up, like you have much more downloads for 7 days. And it's like, oh my gosh, my app is like making a killing, and you have like thousands. And I mean, if you have the right keywords. But then after 7 days, poof, it's like it drops. We'll see one of the graph actually. So I think what it's a way for Apple, like you talk about, where Apple say this is a brand new app, they have no like history with us and all that. So we're gonna push them up. So more people are going to download them, and hopefully, if the app is good enough, it's going to be viral, and then it's going to go from there. But if it's not good enough, it's going to fall.
It's like flying effect.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the topic of that 7-day honeymoon, a lot of the big companies like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn now have a train release schedule, and what that means is they try to release an app update every month, and they just try to kind of get as many features completed as they can in that 1 month period, and so they always release every month. And so, as a small indie developer, if you're just one person, that's hard to do. But if you have consistent releases, then you're gonna experience this honeymoon a lot more often.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's more important when you first release the app, and with the updates, there may be something, but it's not as drastic. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Actually, my experience was quite the opposite. Okay. With each update, actually, noticed that something got reset, and I don't get as
many downloads. Yeah.
Even down. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It could be just a review, because every time you update, the reviews go.
Yes, that's true. So when you update,
and one tip with the review, let's say you have 5 reviews and you know who are the people who gave the 5 reviews, they're your friends. You can ask them to go back. So they review version number 1, but now you're 1.1 and you don't see the reviews anymore. You can ask them to go back. They don't have to rewrite things anymore. They can go to iTunes on the computer or go to the device and just if they say, you tell them write the review again. So you go to the review and the review is already written there. They just have to download the latest version and republish. And it's pre-written.
I noticed that it only works with a couple of times.
Oh, maybe,
you
yeah.
keep on doing that, and
oh, yeah, there's probably a limit to that, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know there was.
Finally, one more thing. We were talking about kind of finding the apps and what Apple's doing their algorithm. They have made some acquisitions. So like they acquired a company called Chomp. And so they are definitely over time tweaking their algorithm to find apps. And that's actually how they started displaying the related keywords once you look at an app.
Which you can use for keywords, for keyword optimization too.
Do you have a screenshot of that so we can show people?
I have it. I'm trying to find it. Not sure I have it. Do you mind if we show it right after? Or?
Yeah, we can show it.
Yeah. Let's go back. Okay. So let's now cover quickly the app analytics. Why do we need app analytics? So this is a quote that I read before. I mean, you can't improve what you don't measure. So one of the hard things is the App Store is very competitive, and if you send your app and it doesn't do as well, I mean, you can either give up or, I mean, try more and optimize things up. So I suggest you do analytics and then you optimize things. But I think that only 50% of the apps on the store they have an analytics module attached to it, and most people who have it don't even know how to use it for good reason, because it's complex. So I'm going to try to give you an overview here. So there are 2 things that you can do with your application. You can monitor what happens within the application. So, and there are 2 main tools for that, which are Flurry, which started way back then, and the other one, they were bought by Yahoo recently. And the other one is Google Analytics Mobile, which is not like, it's like Google Analytics for website, but for your mobile application. And they are, even though GA is like old, like they came late in the game for the mobile side. And they track what happens inside. The other one is to track what happens, I mean, how your app is performing outside. And for that, there are like several tools, but the one I use the most are App Annie and Sensor Tower. So Sensor Tower, why do I use that? Because once I do my App Store optimization, Sensor Tower is going to show me where I rank for those keywords. So it's not like it's not like you do it once and you forget about it. You just like keep track of things. So what are the things you can see in Flurry? These are examples. So here you can see how many people are downloading your app, like how many new users you get. So this is, you see like this kind of like peak you get at the beginning and kind of goes down after that. You can see how many active users you have. You can look at that weekly or monthly. But the active users tell you whether your app is kind of like, I mean, people care about it. Because if it's flat, that means you get users, they play with it, they hate it, they give it up. But like if people kind of like enjoy it, that means you're gonna have more people using your app each and every week and each and every month. So that's the good metric to track. People call it the MAU for monthly active user. The other thing that you can track is retention also, like when you have 100% users today, I mean, how many people keep using the apps, like days from now, and then you can compare those two metrics together, like number of new users versus user you retain. So there's a lot of graphs, and what happens, like whether it's Google Analytics or Flurry, it's overwhelming because what their goal is to give you as much information as possible. So one technique you can use is that before you, I mean, it's good to get familiar with all the graphs they have, but then after that, what you want to do is to write the questions that you want to get answered. And so I read that in one book about GA, and you just say, I want to know how many users I get every day. I want to know this. I want to know that. And then after that, you go in the tool and you get that information, because otherwise it can be very overwhelming. The other thing that Flurry gives you is app information about your app users. So they give you gender, believe it or not, gender and age. And how do they do that? Is because if I downloaded like an app months ago and they asked me for my gender and I say I'm male, and this app was using Flurry, then Flurry keeps the information. And if I'm using another application, even if they don't ask me for my gender, Flurry say, well, we know he's a male, and we have the information. So here, that's for one of my app, and they have it's an app for small kids, and you can see that 87% are female, which makes sense. And the age rank is 25 to 35 mothers, and then more than 55 grandmothers. And so what it tells me is like, it tells me like what are the type of users, and they give you more information than that, but it tells me like what type of users are using my application. So therefore I can go on the web, on social media, and I can target this particular audience because these are the ones using my app. And same thing with age. They can tell accurately the age of 22%. Yes?
Question. So in that case, I mean, are you finding that most sort of parents who are sharing apps with children and so on, right? So the app marks them as a mother or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're using the same iTunes account or something like that, is that a normal pattern?
No, it's not like the app marking them. It's just that somewhere at some point they enter the age, or at some point they enter their gender, right. and Flurry gives me back this information.
I understand that, but no, in a normal usage pattern, is it the prevailing model where parents get the same, for one, parents' iTunes account holds all the apps that are being consumed by the children as well, or do children have their own iTunes account?
Yeah, I don't know how they track after the individual.
In general, the usage is parent buys and then.
Yeah, for small kids, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I have all the kids. I mean, they have their own, iPads and iPhone and all that.
Do they all iTunes account?
No, they don't.
Don't have, right?
So no.
They will never have that.
So you're right. It's easier. I mean, it's easier when you have. I mean, right now we have one account for 5.
Because Apple has this thing called family sharing or something like that as well, but that's recent.
Yeah. No, it's pretty not. Yeah. I mean, the data is not going to be as good if you have like a family plan, for example. That's
it needs a bank card attached to the iTunes. It does, and kids can't have one.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not going to be as accurate as. That's a good point. So the other thing is event tracking. So the information I was showing you, the graphs I showed you on Flurry, they come for free with 2 lines of code in iOS. So you put 2 lines of codes to either install Google Analytics or Flurry. I mean, you can use either, or you can even use both. And by default, it's like Google Analytics for a website. You have tons of graphs and information about your app that show up on the dashboard without you doing anything. Okay. But now you can, if you want to be more granular and have more information about what your app does, and you can use event tracking. So that means you're going to have a line per event that you want to be tracking. So why do you use that? You can track for games. So for example, let's say I have a game and it has 20 levels, and I make it like easy at the beginning and hard after that. I may want to know like where people stop most of the time, when, because maybe my game is becoming way too difficult at level 5 and I have still 20 levels to go, like 15 levels to go, sorry. So that's the kind of thing that you can be tracking, and you can track with events. Like each time they go from one level to another, you add an event, and you can see in Flurry how people are doing it. You can also, one thing I use event for was to optimize my in-app purchase conversion. So at some point I was showing people like, hey, the app is free, we can get that you can pay $5 and get this. And I was trying to have like showing different screens, and I could tell like where people were converting and where they are not. So you can use event tracking for that. And the other thing is, once you have a Watch app, for example, you can also track like, because maybe if you have an iOS app and a Watch app, you want to track like are other people using the Watch app or not. I mean, if you're not using event tracking, it's going to be harder to tell. So if you're tracking activity from the Watch app using events, then you can get a better understanding on how people use it. And once you start using event tracking, Flurry can give you screens like this where you have a flow, where you say, hey, this is when people stop. Actually, most of them go to the main screen, and after that they add wine. I mean, I took that from the web. So. But you can understand like where what is the major activity people are doing. But you can also create funnels where you can say, it's hard to see, but you can say like for example, a call to action, or like if I want to show like people the in-app purchase, you can show like the fact that you have 100% of the people first, but then how many people you lose through the funnel. And this way you can optimize the funnel to figure out like, because sometimes, I mean, one of my app, I was not making as much money at the beginning, but then kind of like using things like this, I kind of optimize within the app and outside of the app, and now it's doing better. Like, another thing that's very cool with Flurry, they have a user acquisition tracking. So let's say that you're ready to market your app and you've done your app store optimization, which I suggest you do first. But now you're going to go on the web, you're going to go on social media, you're going to be marketing your app. I mean, until I discovered that, I was doing that, and I was looking at downloads, hoping that my downloads will increase. But I never knew if it was because I was doing this or because things were going up by themselves. But now what Flurry gives you, they give you tracking codes, and you can add them to URL. And then what happens is that Flurry is going to track how many people click on the links. So let's say I have a Twitter campaign. They're going to track like Bitly, how many people click on the links, but that you can do with Bitly. But they're also going to track installs. So that means you can spend, like maybe all the time I was spending on Twitter is worthless because I spend like 5 hours this week and I got 2 downloads. But I spend like, on my website, I have a good conversion, and maybe on my ads, I have another type of conversion. So all of a sudden, your app marketing effort is being graphed using this tool. So that's one. App Annie, I don't know if you use it. So App Annie gives you the outside, so it tells you like how many downloads you have and all that. Why a lot of people use that? Because for the longest time, iTunes Connect was very, very primitive, which is, I don't know why. Only now like Apple has changed it, and it's better. But now, for the longest time, you had like it was very hard to manipulate data or look at it. So a lot of people were using tools like App Annie where you can see things more granular. So they show you like downloads and revenue per ad revenue and all the information that you have. They also show you reviews, so you can, in one page you have all the reviews from all the different countries. Some of them you're going to have to use Google Translate to find out what they mean. But you can find it in one spot. The other cool thing that you can use also is historical ranking. So if you're ranking for multiple categories, they're going to show you historically like how you've been performing and whether you go down or go up. And another screen I like is daily ranks. So this one is for one of my app, kids app. So it's in the Amazon store. It's not on iOS, but it's 58 in the States for the kids section. And I see also that it's 74 in Italy, even though it's just in English right now. So that tells me that people like the outside, they download it, but then I don't have sales in Italy. That means they use it and it's like, oh, it's all in English, and they don't use it. So that means that I should do translation in Italian and try to improve things there. So right now, actually, we're coming up with a French one and a Portuguese one, but probably the next one next version should be Italian also.
Curious to what is that?
It's a kids app for babies. Where I mean, it's I built this one. I built within Corona SDK, so it's multi-platform. So I built it and it's published, called Animal Friends, and it's teaching the kids like the animal names and all that. And it's so people.
So different languages you're teaching the different animals.
Yeah, so the voices are different. So I recorded my daughter's friend for English because you don't want me to do the voice in English, and then my niece in Portugal in Portuguese and my wife in French. So it's a family business.
So for these kind of apps, how is the downloads like, and how much are you really able to generate income?
But it's not enough to make a living. I mean that's why I do consulting also. But it's based on the number of apps. I get thousands of downloads every month. And again, it's also about optimizing. I mean, it's not like millions, so I'm not there. But that's why we want to create more applications. And I mean, sometimes you create an application and it works pretty well, and you don't know why. And it's like, oh, it looks like, I mean, I didn't put as much effort and it works pretty well. And another one, you put more effort and you think it's going to work. I mean, work well and it doesn't convert as well. So you have to do, multiple ones and increase. So right now we just have 5 apps. I mean, there are some people have like 50, 100 apps. So we're not there yet. But then one thing that's suggested also is that if you have an app that works pretty well, then you invest it into the code. It takes time and effort to do that and money. And so it's a good idea to reskin your own applications. So if you have one that works, then you can reuse the code, change the graphics, and create another one. Some people do that with apps that they buy on the website, but you can do that with your own apps too.
So these kids apps need a lot of visuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of that, it's very time consuming.
No, actually, for this one there, I went on Etsy. Because my wife is a graphic designer, she was going to create them. It takes a lot of time on Illustrator to create everything. And I went on Etsy. You can buy images, and I think we paid like $10 for most of the images we used. And they come as vector, and then we can animate them and all that. So
what's the website?
Etsy, ETSY.
Are you sure? That's like the homemade.
Yeah. But they do both. Like there are people selling clip arts.
Really?
They call clip arts. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of the graphics we've been using for kids apps come from Etsy. And actually, if you download the app, it's we give credits to the people who created the images.
Apparently, Udacity.
Hmm?
Apparently, Udacity sells like code templates. I didn't know that reason.
Etsy, the code.
Code, you can buy code on Udacity.
On Etsy?
Udemy.
Oh, Udemy, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of websites we can buy existing code also. That's it.
How do you animate image?
So on Corona, you Sprite. You use Sprite.
Oh, okay.
So what we do is you take an image and then my wife is going to do like multiple images of the same version, and then you're going to end up in an animation using the sprites. Yeah. Any question?
It's a good talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for attending.
Let me throw a couple more things in quick.
Yep.
Well, just setting up. Have you tried other analytics engines like Flurry and Google Analytics?
No, I haven't tried Google Analytics either. Actually, I've used Flurry so far. I mean, I heard I want to try it soon in some of my apps to see, because it doesn't hurt. You just add it there and then you see the result. I've heard like people that try both. They prefer using Flurry. I'd like to see both, but I haven't used the other ones.
Cool. So all the video slides and code will be posted on happy.watch. And don't forget about the 2 events that I told you about at the beginning. And then also Hacker Dojo is having a holiday party this Wednesday, so you're certainly welcome to come to that. So that's any questions for me?
And we have food for the watch with
Yes. Lots of food on Tuesday at Sandbox Suites.
Where's the December 16th event?
That's Sandbox Suites in Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is this similar to the one given in San Francisco last week?
The one that you did before the boot camp, before the hackathon, is it similar?
No, it's actually going to be different because, yeah, well, I mean, this one I'm doing from scratch, and we'll actually, kind of make a Hello Watch Kit app. Yeah.
It's also different from the boot camp we had earlier.
Yes, it'll be different than the boot camp we had earlier. And so, yeah, the difference between the boot camp we had earlier and the one coming up in January is that the one we had earlier, we built the Heartbeat app, and that worked in the watch simulator. And in this boot camp, I'm thinking that we're going to build a weather app so that we can use the API and things like that, and it'll actually be in the real watch kit.
So you make a RESTful call.
Yes. Mm-hmm.